All right, we're going to start off, and we're going to make this brief. We ask all the speakers to please keep to a couple minutes, and it's very difficult for me, I know that. But our first speaker to give us the greetings from the city of Haverhill and the introduction of the dignitaries, our Mayor, Jim Fiorentini.
Thanks, Jimmy. When he says our mayor, Jimmy's a city councilor now from Methuen. But I'm proud to be the mayor from Haverhill, the greatest city in the world. And I want to welcome all of you to another great event, a thank you event for what is one of the greatest projects in the history of the city. And we're going to be dedicating a boardwalk today to our chairman, Brian Dempsey. And I want to introduce a few of the elected officials who took the time out today on a very, very busy and very cold day to come. I always hate introducing the elected officials because I always forget someone. But let me do the very, very best I can. We're honored to have the Speaker of the House of Representatives with us today, Speaker Robert DeLeo. And thank you so much for coming. We all know, or if you don't know, you're about to know the great things that Brian Dempsey's done for us, but you might not know the great things that Speaker DeLeo's done for us, and there are many, many. He works with Representative Dempsey to get us money for the Hale debt every year, and every year when we look at our health care budget, we have two people to thank, Brian Dempsey and Speaker DeLeo, because they've given us the tools to balance our budget. So, Mr. Speaker and Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. We deeply appreciate it. About a decade or so ago, when I was mayor, and we had a very nice, great young congressman who came to me, and I said, you know, we really need a parking garage downtown. And he got us what was then called an earmark. They've outlawed them since. But he got us an earmark of $8 million to build us a sidewalk, a parking garage downtown. And now the president of UMass Lowell, former Congressman Marty Meehan. Thank you so much. We have two former senators here, and I've worked well with both of them. And you met one of them already, former senator. I'll be introducing him in a minute, Jim Jajuga, now a city councilor in Methuen. Thank you so much. And another former senator that I worked so well with, he's hiding here somewhere, did a great job for our city, Steve Baddour. Chairman Dempsey can't give all the money in the state to the city of Haverhill, much as I would like him to. Because he gets a lot of support from a great legislative delegation that works well to do stuff for Haverhill, and he also works with them. And several of them are here today, and I want to introduce them. State Representative Linda Dean Campbell and State Representative State Representative Diana DeZoglio. Our state senator, Kate Ives, just had a baby, so she can't make it, but she sent her aide, Dennis Marcello. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be introducing Chairman Dempsey in a minute. We also have virtually the entire city council here, and I hope I don't miss anybody. I'd like to introduce them. Councilor Tom, I'll introduce all of them at once. Councilors Tom Sullivan, Colin LePage, Melinda Barrett, John Mitchison, Mike McGonigal, Joe Bevilacqua, and Bill Masick. Thank you very, very much. And you know, a lot of things went into this project, and the council deserves a lot of thanks for that. The city council rezoned this area so that we could put the building you just went in, we could put residential housing there. The city council offered what's called a TIF, tax increment financing, and also a break on the building permit charges and the parking, so that to help this building here was nothing compared to what the state did. But I want to thank the council publicly for working with us. And then, of course, we have our man of the hour, State Representative Brian Dempsey. And I have to tell you, most of you know Brian for years and years and years. I like what Joe Bevilacqua said at the meeting Tuesday night. We all know him in Haverhill, not as Mr. Chairman of the state rep, but as Brian. A long time ago, Brian told me, you don't need to lobby me. This is my city, too. And indeed, he used to joke that I had him on. Oh, Brian used to joke that I had him on speed dial, but I never did. That was always just a joke. Brian always stepped up to the plate for Haverhill time after time, year after year, for item after item. When we needed money for the Hale debt, it was Brian Dempsey that steps up year after year to help us. Things behind the scene, like the Healthcare Reform Act, Brian Dempsey steps up to the plate to help us. Working with the Speaker on the tax increment financing that helps gateway cities put market rate housing downtown. It's Brian Dempsey that steps up to the plate to help us. We need money to fix the stadium. It's Brian Dempsey that steps up to the plate to help us. We need money for our parks. It's Brian Dempsey that steps up to the plate to help us. And on this project, it was Brian Dempsey who took the lead, came up with the vision and the plan, and made this entire plan here happen. It was Brian Dempsey who did much more than just get the money, who came up with the ideas and the vision, and came up with the plans, and none of this would have happened without State Representative Brian Dempsey. Now, many people over the years have come up with ideas and plans. Someone said to me today, plans are a dime a dozen. And many people have come up with great ideas of putting in a boardwalk downtown. I want to recognize some of them while I'm here. Former Mayor George Katsaris, who decades ago put in a little section of the boardwalk downtown, and his planning director, Rick Swain. Our planning director now, Bill Pillsbury. Jim Jajuga did a great job in coming to Boston with us to lobby for money, but it was much more than an idea. It was one man that really made it happen, who brought in the money and made this happen. And that's why I was proud to sponsor before the City Council a resolution to name this boardwalk the Representative Brian S. Dempsey Boardwalk. Now, I joked with Brian once we were going to name it the Representative Brian S. Dempsey Memorial Boardwalk, but he said there's some word there that I don't like. He didn't tell me what word it was, but I thought about that. I was just joking at the time I said it, but I said, all too often we dedicate things when somebody's gone and they're not around to see it. Brian's doing things for us now, and we hope for decades and decades to come, so we're very honored to dedicate this in honor to him today. Before I introduce our Master of Ceremonies, I do want to recognize people that came to my office yesterday, did a great job, the Haverhill High Chorus. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to recognize and thank the developers of this project, led by a great visionary, had a great idea a while ago to start this project, Sally Sarasolo O'Rourke. The entire directors of the Greater Haverhill Foundation, Ron Trombley, and I see Joe DeRazio, many other directors here. And their partners in progress, the Planning Office of Urban Affairs. They did a couple of great projects for us downtown. I was happy to introduce them to the foundation. And boy, did they go to town and produce this. The Planning Office, Lisa Alberghini, great job. And now I'd like to turn this over to our Master of Ceremonies, a man that I've come to have such tremendous respect for over the years. I won't tell you how I got to know him, but some of you that remember back in '94 remember. But there's no harder working person in the state than our former state senator and current city councilor in Methuen, Jim Jajuga.
For a minute there, he was praising the hell out of me. I thought he was going to introduce the wrong person. I swear, I said, this can't be me. Thank you, Mayor. And he's returning the compliment to me. And I want you to understand that you have to understand, I'm a little conflicted. I was born and raised, educated in Haverhill, always considered Haverhill my home. I'm a lucky man that I have two homes, Methuen and Haverhill. So that's why, Mayor, I consider you our mayor also. I want to clarify that. And and he used up one of my 2 minutes that I was told by a number of people that I had up here. Speech. All right, I'll give you a speech. Back when I was a kid, when I started here, no, I'm kidding. I just want to say one thing about Brian. This was really, I thought it was funny for me. So in 1990, Brian and I ran together. Brian ran as a state representative. I ran as a senator. I didn't even know him. I went to my first sign holding at Lafayette Square. There was a circle there for those of you from Haverhill. And I saw this young kid, Dempsey, representative. Who the hell is he? And he was young enough not only to be my son, I was twice his age. But I want you to know something, and this is the important thing, that I came from a background of policing. I was on the state police, and that's all I knew, and I knew that I wanted to make some changes. But I really didn't know how to do that, and I truly mean that. And I met this young guy, this young guy, who truly, and I don't know, he was in his early 20s, and here's a guy that had already served on the school committee, already been the president of the Haverhill City Council, and I didn't even know where the hell the Senate chamber was in Boston. And I relied heavily on him to help me in my early legislative career, and I mean that sincerely. Help me, put me in the right direction. And you know what? To this day, he's never stopped helping not only me, but so many others. And I said to Brian, and I've said to anybody who would listen over the years, this guy has got it. This guy is underrated, and someday there's no limit to where he's going to go. And I want to tell you the most important thing. No matter where Brian has gone, he's had many chairmanships, and now, you know, he's the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, but he's never forgotten where he came from, the city that he loves, Haverhill, Mass. I'm so proud to be here today, to have still call him my friend, and so proud of all of his accomplishments. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Brian. And now to introduce a real good guy, our former congressman, did a wonderful job, and now the president of the UMass system, our president, Marty Meehan. How do you like that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator Jajuga. Boy, when the mayor brought up that race way back when, and then you started saying that you have two homes, your home is Haverhill and your home is in Methuen, I said to myself, he's not going to run for mayor here in Haverhill, is he? But he's up there right now. But thank you very much for that kind introduction, and I'm delighted to be here. First and foremost, I want to thank the Speaker of the House, Bob DeLeo. Speaker DeLeo has been a great friend of the University of Massachusetts. He's been a great friend of this community. And we're here today to honor our friend, Brian Dempsey. And the fact of the matter is, it is this Speaker who has had the confidence in Brian's ability, his integrity, his leadership, to appoint him as the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for your support of our friend, Brian Dempsey. So I want to, UMass Lowell is going to be here. We were persuaded by the chairman of Ways and Means it would be a good idea to come here. And I want to tell you, and I want to introduce the chancellor of UMass Lowell, who's doing a great job. And I want to tell you folks something. UMass Lowell it goes back a long time, about 150 years. And for the first time in our history, we're led at UMass Lowell by a woman. And she's an outstanding leader. Please welcome Chancellor Jackie Maloney. Now, I can tell you every community in this state wants to have a UMass presence. They all want to have a UMass presence. When this idea first came up, I had 5 other mayors who called me and said, we want you to come to our city. We're here because we developed a business model of how we could do a satellite campus. We gave it to the Chairman of Ways and Means, and he made this happen. So we're delighted to be here. We're going to have small business incubator space. What does that mean? It means it's an opportunity for us at UMass Lowell to work with companies in the region to try to build small companies up that hopefully will end up growing and expanding here in Haverhill. So it's a great opportunity for the city of Haverhill, a great opportunity for UMass Lowell, and we're honored to be here and to be part of this project. I'm also proud of the fact that Brian Dempsey is an alum of UMass Lowell, and he's done a lot for his institution. We have a business school that we're going to be opening the doors of. We wouldn't have that business school. We would not have the business school. I talked to somebody who's daughter, I think, is in the business program. When that business school opens up, it's because of Brian Dempsey. He's been a great leader. He's been a great inspirational leader and a friend. I wanted to mention, Senator, what was here. I represented Haverhill, as was mentioned, after redistricting, when Brian decided the 5th District should be in his home city. And I represented this area. And the Woolworth building, I remember it well because everyone wanted to develop the building. And I can remember Sally calling every day. Can you get some federal money? Can you get some federal money? Then she'd say, Jajuga says there's money in a bond bill, but I just don't buy it. But to see what has happened here and to see the way the city of Haverhill opens up to the river, that's really symbolic in a lot of ways because that river, the Merrimack River, is a beautiful asset. And now it's opened up so that everyone can see it. And the fact of the matter is, this city exists because of that river, because of the American Industrial Revolution and the mills that were powered around the river. So to open that up is just great for this community, and it's the vision of Brian Dempsey. There are a lot of people elected to legislatures across the country and people who are elected to Congress, and they think their job is to go and vote yes or no, and that's it. What this project illustrates is that Brian Dempsey views his role as public service as more than that. He views his role of using all of his clout, all of his smarts, all of his brain power to make things happen in his hometown, the city that he loves. This is his vision. He stuck with it. He was persuasive to everyone he dealt with, and he delivered. And this building and this economic development project here is something that Brian Dempsey has made happen that is going to last and have significance for the next 100 to 200 years. That is a big deal. I know growing up in Lowell what a visionary leading the city, what it means, because Paul Tsongas did a lot of those same things in Lowell that Brian Dempsey is doing in Haverhill. And I want to say on behalf of Jackie and the University of Massachusetts Lowell, we're honored to be part of this project. We look for ways to expand our engagement, expand our involvement in this project. And on behalf of everyone associated with the University of Massachusetts, I say to Chairman Brian Dempsey, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your vision, and thank you for your willingness to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very excellent, excellent. Now, our next speaker, the guy we've been waiting to hear from, the guy that had the faith and confidence in Brian to name him to such an important post, which has allowed Brian to make his dreams become a reality for not just Haverhill, but you have to understand, he deals with 158 other legislators besides him and the Speaker. And all of them have dreams and visions. And they all want a piece of the pie. Sometimes a bigger piece, sometimes a smaller piece, but they all want a piece. And someone has to balance that out. And ultimately, it's the Speaker that makes the decision of who is best, that best can serve in that capacity. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for selecting Brian Dempsey as the chair of the Ways and Means Committee. And please come up and say a few words. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator, for those that kind introduction. And I can't tell you what an honor it is for me to be here, despite the fact it took me about an hour and a half to get here, which I hear about all the time from Brian every single day. It really didn't bother me at all. But I've got to be honest with you, to all of you. You know, Brian, I consider him probably my closest friend in the legislature. And besides that, I know he's a little jealous of me, quite frankly. I think that's what this boardwalk was all about. I come from Winthrop, which is right on the ocean. This is the closest he could get to to a Boardwalk. I went to Boston Latin. He's always making jokes about Boston Latin. He probably wasn't smart enough, if he could, to get into Boston Latin. And finally, and I don't know why, I think Brian really wants to be an Italian. He's always telling me about his prowess in terms of cooking Italian food. And I'm sort of tired of listening to it. And I don't know what it is, but he just keeps on bringing that up. But what a wonderful day for this great city. And to the mayor, there's so many people to congratulate. To the mayor, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the councilors, to the University of Lowell, to the great legislative delegation that you have here as well. And of course, the guy who put it together, Brian Dempsey, in his office. And I just want to also mention his chief of staff, Colleen McGonigal, is who's here today. You know, when I was chair of Ways and Means, Brian took me to a visit to Haverhill at the time. And he said, Mr. Chairman, he says, I'd like you to take a look at what's going on in Haverhill and what my vision is for this great city. Well, he took me around, and he took me, first of all, to a vacant parking lot, and he just showed me vacant buildings and dilapidated buildings and whatnot. I says, he's my buddy, but he's got a lot of vision here. I mean, if he's going to turn this around. But what's especially wonderful about this, that really tipped it off, was the fact that we needed to have a place where we could talk. We needed to have a place that we could talk about, you know, how some of the things would be put together. And no restaurant was open at the time. So we had to literally find a restaurant that Brian had to have open just so that we could talk. And I said, boy, we've got a ways to go to make this project happen, and here we are today. I'm so pleased to be here because Brian, quite frankly, is private in a lot of ways. And there are many times when I wish I could come to his district and talk about him so that folks in Haverhill and folks from all around this area will know what a very special guy you've got here. What a very special person he is. And I say that, you know, first of all, when you take a look at what he's done for the state, what he's done in terms of some of the worst economic times, how he's been able to keep our state afloat, making sure that money for cities and towns, making sure that money for education, making sure that money, again, to go back to each city, especially his own, and that balance was always was always there and on time. Our bond rating went up for the first time in our history during the tenure of Brian Dempsey as the chairman of Ways and Means. And I always wanted to tell the people here in Lowell and the surrounding communities what a great representative and person that you have representing you. And today was really one of the first opportunities I had. And that's really one of the major messages that I want to give to all of you. Today is so well warranted. And when I think what's going to happen in this area in terms of housing, in terms of education, in terms of what I look about is the economy, you know, because of the efforts of Brian and a host of other people, it's such a wonderful day for the great city of Haverhill. But I've got to tell you, the major reason I'm here today is to let you know what a great man you have here. Okay. He's a man, I can tell you, loves his wife, Julie, very much, talks about his children adoringly most of the time. You know, his mom, you know, I can remember talking about his late dad, I think, who always wanted to have a great baseball player, so he probably would have been better off with me than Brian, but besides that. Well, we came in together some 26 years ago. And when you serve in the legislature some 26 years, you make a lot of friends, you meet a lot of people. And over those 26 years, and there's others who have come, and some will serve a relatively short period of time, some will serve a longer period of time. But I've got to tell you, And Brian Dempsey, today and for a long time to come, I will always consider Brian Dempsey to be a friend, not only for the short term, but he's going to be a friend for my life, because that's what this gentleman is all about, and that's what he's meant to me. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a little funny little secret. Whenever I may not be around or may be away at a conference, and for Brian who knows me, know I don't take too many trips away or anything else like that. But I'll let you know a little secret. The guy I called to tell him to watch out for the state is Brian Dempsey. But I am really not only happy to be here, but I am honored to be here. And really honored to introduce my great friend, as I said, my friend for life, a man I think who will go out there as probably the greatest chair of Ways and Means that ever there was. And by the way, I was chair of Ways and Means, so maybe he'll be 1A, I don't know. But please give a warm welcome, please, to our good friend, Chairman Brian Dempsey.
Wow. 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 I feel like I'm either in a dream or I'm at my own funeral. I'm not quite, hope it's the dream. But let me begin by first thanking my very dear friend, Speaker Robert DeLeo. Had the good fortune to get elected in 1990, and we had a large class of new legislators that were elected that year, 46 of us. And I had the good fortune of being assigned alphabetically next to Bob DeLeo. And we met and instantly hit it off, and we had a great relationship for years and years, and the speaker started to move up. And fortunately, he decided to take me with him. And I have to tell you that not only do we have an outstanding speaker who has been a tremendous leader, who has the support of the entire membership, but we have somebody who, without his confidence in me and appointing me chair of Ways and Means 6 years ago, I can tell you that this probably would not have happened, because he has put me, he has put the city of Haverhill in a tremendous position to capitalize on the great position of being chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. So he's been terrific. He is so correct. We are very, very good friends. I haven't cooked my Italian sauce for him yet, so he thinks I'm full of it. But maybe this year I'll do it. But another round of applause to my very, very dear friend. I was so thrilled to learn that he would come up today, because we have these meetings every Monday, and I have the good fortune of sitting in with the governor and the speaker and the Senate president every Monday for leadership. And the meetings usually start around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And you know, I'm always looking at the watch. The commute is a little daunting sometimes from Haverhill to Boston, and more often than not, it gets to be around 10 past 4, and the speaker will ask that one final question of the governor, like, what's going on at the MBTA? And of course, knowing Governor Baker, he's going to give you every single detail, and then I'm in the 5 o'clock traffic. So thank you for being here. You are the best, and I really, really appreciate that. I want to start this by introducing my great family, and I want them to just stand up for a minute. My wife, Julie, for so many years, campaign after campaign, and we are so proud to have 3 great children. And it's funny, I have flashbacks today of White's Corner and campaigning, and the kids out when they were a lot younger, but campaigning. So my son Ryan is here. Ryan, stand up and say hello. My son Tyler, I say hello. I have 2 sons and a princess, and the princess is Brittany. Brittany, say hello. So Julie and I are very, very proud of them, and we thank them for all of their support. And, I'm reminded of my parents, and, I'll talk a little bit about the city council meeting the other night, but fortunately my mother, who was 87 years old, still living on Garden Street, was able to watch that council meeting and called right up and, Brian, I watched the council meeting. That was wonderful. And it was just great that she was able to see that. And, of course, my dad, who passed away 3 years ago, and I know many of you were at his funeral. And it is a true story. He was a great athlete, but he didn't have any athletes in the family. And I think I was the worst of the brothers. My father, Jim Dempsey, who was the bookmobile driver for many, many years, and, very fond memories, and really my best campaigner. And, of course, I think of my father-in-law, Billy Baker, who they would be campaigning together on White's Corner. I think fondly of that today. And my brother Kev is here with his son, Jimmy. Thank you very much. And, years ago, you didn't have these wire campaign signs, so you'd have to talk your friends into building signs with wood, and be like, Kev, can you guys, build me some more signs? So that was always fun, and some good memories. Mayor Fiorentini, where is the mayor? I want to thank Jim Fiorentini for a couple of things. First of all, to submit this to the city council. I was and am today very humbled and honored and deeply touched by this tribute, and it means the world to me. And I want to thank the mayor for doing it. And please give him. It's no accident that Jim Fiorentini is the longest-serving mayor in the history of Haverhill, and that is not an easy thing to accomplish. And it's been accomplished because of not only how hard he works, but because of his great management ability, because of his focus, because of his ability to bring in new ideas, his intellect, his compassion, and he's 24/7. He is everywhere all the time. I vowed not to do Facebook and Twitter because I can't keep up with the mayor, and I know that. And he's probably already posted a couple pictures on Facebook probably moments ago, but I want to, he's done a great job for Haverhill. Please give him another round of applause. And I'll talk about his role with the project again, his leadership, his vision with the zoning, working with the city council. Again, this is a team effort, and the mayor's leadership has been extraordinary with all of this. Certainly, the city council. Again, I was touched that, and I had an opportunity to watch the council meeting, and I want to thank the city council for voting unanimously for this tremendous honor. I want to thank, in particular, Councilor Tom Sullivan, whose heartfelt comments and introduction of this were so very special, not only to me, but to my entire family. And Councilor Bill Masick, a very dear friend who served with me on the city council back in 1987 or so. I want to thank him for his motion and what he did, and all the councilors for really for stepping up and doing this. The mayor is correct. We have a great legislative delegation, and all of the work around this project wouldn't have happened without their tremendous support. Certainly, Senator Katie Ives, Representative Linda Dean Campbell, and Representative Diana DeZoglio. Please give them a great a great round of applause. And I also want to recognize my great chief of staff who worked so hard on this project as well, Colleen McGonigal. Thank you very much, Colleen, for that. So let's just talk a little bit, and I don't want to go on and on. I want to talk a little bit about the project, and I want to talk a little bit about the partnership and the teamwork, because this truly has come to fruition because of an extraordinary team. When I look at going back 4 or 5 years ago now, when we started to talk about this, it was the idea of maybe we could get UMass Lowell to come to downtown Haverhill. And And to do that, it started with first finding out, well, where could we put them? Well, the Woolworth building is probably the place to be. And I remember calling Sally, Sally O'Rourke. Where is she? Sally. I love you, Sally. Wrap it up, she's saying. I can't. I'm going to go on and on. Sally. I know, I'm sorry. But Sally, who had the vision of buying this property years ago, working with the Planning Office for Urban Affairs and meeting to discuss UMass Lowell, and we decided, let's try to make it happen. And then I drove to see Marty Mann. And we had lunch. And I said, Chancellor, you've done a great job in Lowell. You only have 20 new buildings in Lowell, and it'd be great if you'd consider doing something in downtown Haverhill. And fortunately, we were able to convince the chancellor at the time to come to the city of Haverhill. And we're delighted that not only with Marty's leadership and his commitment, his great service as our congressman, but we're so proud to see him become the president of the university system, and he has done a great job for us. So please give him another round of applause. And we lucked out twice, because when Marty became president, we then got another outstanding chancellor of UMass Lowell, who has done an extraordinary job, not only in her tenure as chancellor, but her tenure working at the university for 30 years, and that is Jackie Maloney. Thank you so much, Jackie, very much. But it came together, and as I guess I'm a little bit reflecting a little bit today, and I see Joe Bevilacqua, and I thank Joe for his great comments the other night, and I see so many. But being state rep was really the dream that I had as a kid, and I remember getting elected to Student Government Day, state rep for a day in 1984, and I was a senior at Haverhill High. I remember driving in with Tom Madsen, my history teacher at the time, and I remember walking into the back of the House chamber, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the place, and it was really a defining moment for me. But it was a defining moment because I knew that could be a place to do what I really wanted to do, which is to help the city of Haverhill, the city that I love so much, the city that I've grown up and lived in, my kids, and entire family. And that's what this has always been about my entire career, is trying to help move Haverhill forward. But as you do this tremendous recognition today, it's about teamwork. And none of this would happen without an extraordinary team. Again, Sally, Ron Tromley, the Greater Haverhill Foundation, the Office for Planning Office for Urban Affairs, under the great leadership of Lisa Alberghini. Where's Lisa? Lisa, thank you so much for your great work. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better team and a better partnership between those two groups. So thank you so much for all of that. Again, let me just close. Sally's looking at me, by thanking, again, the mayor, the city council, all the folks who have been so instrumental in this. I'm humbled, I'm honored. This means the world to me. Thank you very, very, very much. Are you testing? Thank you. Sally made me nervous. I need to say one other thing. I have had the great fortune of having so many great friendships as a result of this great opportunity to serve Haverhill. But my very good friend, I've been lucky to have a great delegation. Jim Jajuga is not only somebody I served with since 1991, but Jim Jajuga had a vision of a boardwalk for decades, and we've talked about this for decades. He's a very good friend. He was a great senator for us. I love the guy. Jimmy, thank you so much for everything you do. And we've been very fortunate. Another great senator, another great friend who did so many great things. My good friend, Senator Steve Bedore, who also worked so hard on all of this. So I hope I didn't miss anybody, but thank you all very, very much.
The sun sets in 5 minutes. We have no electricity. Everybody was supposed to have 2 minutes. I have 3 minutes and 20 seconds, so I might go a little bit fast. But I can't see you. There's not much to see, Marty. I will attempt to tell the Christmas tale of how Harbor Place came to be. We're extremely blessed to be standing here in such a joyous occasion and paying tribute to our own Brian S. Dempsey. I say tribute and not naming because the last time I named something, well, you all know what happened then. In the beginning, it was 2005. There was a building owner who was gracious enough to meet and negotiate a very fair price for a corner parcel that had been vacant for 45 years. Rick Credirola, thank you so much. In fierce negotiations, a deal was struck, and attorney Richard Sheehan, who was the president of the Greater Haverhill Foundation at the time, had the courage to stand up and lead the charge to purchase the Woolworth building. Alas, we were the owners of a key parcel that some had a vision it would someday be a moniker of the progress of this community could achieve. About the same time, a young senator, whose name I won't mention because he'll want the mic back, JPJ, announced that he had a $10 million along with Steve Bedore to build in the bond bill to build a boardwalk. He said, go build the boardwalk. In the late 2006, a very active developer had a plan and progress was being made, or so we thought. But fate would have us wait, and the vision went cold. The Planning Office for Urban Affairs, led by Lisa and Bill, Bill's not with us today, came to an economic summit, and they were hooked on Haverhill and developed the Hayes property. When the economy began to turn around on a cold, rainy night, we walked uphill to Brian Dempsey's office on Bailey Boulevard, and the vision was reborn with Vinnie, Ron, myself, and of course Representative Dempsey, and of course Colleen. Colleen that holds the glue, is the glue that holds us all together. When the strong leadership of the mayor in embracing the renaissance of the river in the downtown and lots of housing happening in the former mill section, the tide was turning. The city council, now Dasher, now Dancer, no, I mean now Andy, now Joey, now Melinda and Colin, now Spider, now Tommy, now Billy and Mary Ellen, and our most favorite council of all, Council President John Mitchison. They were all up on the roof getting ready to roar. At the same time, a famous congressman came to town and was pivotal in securing funds for a parking facility. We should have named that after Marty Meehan. Why didn't that happen? Now he's king of the mountain. He's king of the world. Merrimack Street Ventures was formed with the partnership of the Greater Haverhill Foundation and the Planning Office for Urban Affairs. It's a great team, and we have all our strengths, and collectively we are a force. Lisa, with her endless attention to detail, is amazing. She's a go-getter and always on time. Not. Bill, the quiet guy, he's always one step ahead of us and delights in picking out colors. Not. Ron, the conservative of the group, who lives for doing spreadsheets and is such a solid stand-up guy. And me, who I was just told that I don't actually make the Kool-Aid. I don't actually drink the Kool-Aid. I make it and make everybody else drink the Kool-Aid. Not sure that was a compliment. In 2001, POUA purchased Newman's, and collectively we worked with Harvey and Alan Cates. Happy birthday to Harvey today is here. And Jeff and Alba Wang, Dr. Rose, Dr. Dow, Kimberly Cook, and of course the most famous of them all, Doug Locke. With Bank of America, Pentucket Bank, and Haverhill Bank all pitching in for financing, we began the vision. When up on the rooftop came all the clatter, support and help that we needed to begin to build. City departments, Chief DeNaro, Chief LaLiberty, Bob Ward, Andrew Hurley, Bill Cox, John Pettis, Mike Stankovich, Richard McDonald, Dick Osborne, Rob Moore, Super Scully, thank you to the chorus. And of course, the most famous one of them all, Bill Pillsbury. Off we went to build and lease, sell and change the face of downtown Haverhill. UMass Lowell was in. With a new pair of shoes at UMass, we are thrilled to work with this exciting team, Jackie, Joanne, DJ, Steve Tello, and the rest of the crew. Thank you for coming to Haverhill. Pentucket Bank was the first one in. They were terrific to believe in the vision that we had, and our very own Randall Bennett bought this floor that we're on right now. A big shout out to HC Media, who actually closed on the purchase today of their property on the first floor. Congratulations. There's many things to come in the future. We have new developers coming down the street. Northern Essex is going to play a role, I imagine, and Sal is not here, but I know he has some people here from the new development team coming into Haverhill. Thank you to everyone who made this a reality, but the most famous one of all is our very own Representative Brian S. Dempsey. We wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Bring on Phase 2. Yes. And there will be 3 of these plaques on the boardwalk that will be put up there on order, and they will be put up probably in the springtime when the fountain's done. Congratulations, Brian.